A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians. My dear friends, continue to do as I tell you, as you always have, not only as you did when I was there with you, but even more now that I am no longer there, and work for your salvation in fear and trembling. It is God, for his own loving purpose, who puts both the will and the action into you. Do all that has to be done without complaining or arguing, and then you will be innocent and genuine, perfect children of God, among a deceitful and underhand brood. And you will shine in the world like bright stars, because you are offering it the word of life. This would give me something to be proud of for the day of Christ, and would mean that I had not run in the race and exhausted myself for nothing. And then, if my blood has to be shed as part of your own sacrifice and offering, which is your faith, I shall still be happy and rejoice with all of you, and you must be just as happy and rejoice with me. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The Lord is my light and my help.
The Lord is my light and my help.
The Lord is my light and my help. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Before whom shall I shrink? The Lord is my light and my life. There is one thing I ask of the Lord, for this I long, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to savor the sweetness of the Lord, to behold his temple. The Lord is my light and my help. I am sure I shall see the Lord's goodness in the land of the living. Hope in him. Hold firm and take heart. Hope in the Lord. The Lord is my light and my help. Alleluia, alleluia. Because of your love, give me life, and I will do your will. Alleluia.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Great crowds accompanied Jesus on his way, and he turned and spoke to them. If any man comes to me without hating his father, mother, wife, children, brothers, sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Anyone who does not carry his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. And indeed, which of you here, intending to build a tower, would not first sit down and work out the cost to see if he had enough to complete it? Otherwise, if he laid the foundation and then found himself unable to finish the work, the onlookers would all start making fun of him and saying, "Here is a man who started to build and was unable to finish." Or again, what king marching to war against another king would not first sit down and consider whether with 10,000 men he could stand up against the other who advanced against him with 20,000? If not, then, while the other king was still a long way off, he would send envoys to sue for peace. So in the same way, none of you can be my disciple unless he gives up all his possessions. The Gospel of the Lord. St. Charles Borromeo was a brave man who, against fierce opposition, reformed the clergy wherever he governed the church. At the time of the Reformation, he was very influential in getting the Council of Trent reopened. He worked on many of the church's teaching documents, the Catechism, the Missal and the Breviary. He even started up teaching to catechesis to children and therefore started the Sunday school movement. When famine engulfed his province, he personally funded the feeding of 3,000 people for 3 months. And when a plague came, he made out his will and prepared to die, ministering to the local hospital where the worst cases were. He did all this at tremendous cost. Bitterly opposed by some of the clergy who'd become very comfortable and corrupt in their ways, and the religious. He was shot at, and one monk even disguised himself as a layman and attended his vespers and shot him. But the bullet, fortunately, didn't go through Borromeo's clothing. This was a man who was prepared to take up his cross and follow Jesus in his own calling. Today, as we celebrate the last Mass in this church before the lockdown tomorrow, we've only got one other in the parish at St. Mary's this morning, we enter with some sadness another period of lockdown. A lockdown brought about by our own personal plague outside. This despite all our strenuous efforts to make our worshipping safe from all infection. We thank all those who have worked so tirelessly to ensure that our churches have been kept safe places for us to worship in, whether by sanitizing all the seating, the door handles, etc., or ensuring that people keep their spaces when they're attending our liturgies. And we continue to thank those who enable us to reach out to so many via the live stream. These costs may not be saintly in the same comparison to Charles Borromeo, but they do present examples of love and care that we have for our own communities. During this new stage of lockdown commencing tomorrow, we need to continue and to extend our care in whatever ways we can, particularly by keeping in contact with people who are isolated once again, people who may not be isolated but be feeling very depressed, those with financial worries, those who worry about their careers being lost. We need to show the face of Christ more explicitly. The example Jesus uses in the gospel today of counting the cost and acting intelligently are valuable for us today. The point is that there is a cost. There is also a great reward and blessing. But make no mistake, there is a cost to following Jesus if we are to take up our cross, personally tailored to fit us, each individual. A disciple is by definition a person who is disciplined. That's where the word comes from. To be disciplined to bear fruit for God in our lives. Let us use this coming period to bear fruit for God by our way of approach, of ministering, and of witnessing. Charles Borromeo has now his reward. Will we deserve ours? Now let us go forward, as St. Thomas More might have said, merrily towards meeting him in heaven. The rewards outweigh the cost.